Today's podcast covers some sensitive material, so if you're listening near young ears, you may want to put on earbuds or find them a task in another room. Welcome to the Syncopator Familius podcast. I'm your host, Greg Richter, and I have a guest co-host today, my wife, Laura Axelrod, and we are happy to have a guest today, Tisha Nickson, an author of a wonderful book that Laura has read, and Laura wants to do like a quick book review. Tell us a little bit about what you read first, first let's let Tisha tell us a little bit about herself. Yeah. Actually, tell us a little bit about your background, Tisha.
Hi, my name is Tisha Nickson. I'm married to a pastor. I have 4 children, and we have 3 grandchildren. And I wrote my book back in 2016, December 2016, because the Lord He told me to write that book. It's about my mother. The name of the book is Victim to Victory, My Journey from Sex Slavery to Freedom in Christ. My mother sold me when I was 16 years old to a 37-year-old well-known drug dealer, and he beat and raped me for 2 years.
Wow. It's a powerful book, and Laura has read the book, and she was just like, and I'm going to read the book now that Laura has read it, because she came in, I was working, is the only reason I haven't read it yet, is I was working a lot at the past few days, and she was going to tell me basically a Cliff's Notes version of the book before we did the interview. And basically it was so powerful that she basically just came in every 5 minutes and said, you got to hear this now you got to hear this.
That's true, actually. That's exactly what happened. I sometimes I'd finish half a chapter and would have to go in and tell him what happened next. And when I read Christian books, sometimes I kind of have low expectations, probably like a lot of people, because you think, oh no, what's this going to be like? And I'm not really from the evangelical part of religion, although I do believe in God. And when I read your book, I was really blown away by it. It really moved me. Part of which because of my own personal experiences, but also how you explained things. You told not only what happened, but every now and then it was sort of like you broke from the story to sort of explain things on a deeper level. Not just, I just found there were so many. It just really resonated with me, and I feel like I'm having a hard time articulating because it just really struck me on a deep level. I think your book, as I've said to you, crosses boundaries. It crosses cultural boundaries. You don't have to be from Alabama to get this book. You don't have to be from the same culture, from the same region of the country. It really speaks on so many levels. And I really highly recommend this book to people. No matter really who they are. Maybe their belief in God is not there, or maybe it's just a small seed of a belief. But I just can't recommend this book highly enough.
All right. And Tisha, if whatever you just want to tell us about your story, it's a very powerful story. Just whatever you want to tell us about it, please.
Well, like I said, my mother sold me when I was 16 years old to this older man that was a well-known drug dealer. And through the entire situation, I was covered. I had 2 grandmothers that when I was a child, they covered me in prayer. I would go to church with them because my mother wasn't a church goer, so any church that I knew of, I knew through my grandmothers. But I didn't understand what the preacher would say, but I did understand the prayers that my grandmothers prayed over me, and they always covered me in the blood. So when I was going through this, and by this time they had passed, all I can do is pray every day, God, deliver me from this, because no one else was. My mother, the one person that supposed to protect me, she sold me. And they have to get the book because I have 2 grandmothers, because I have 2 fathers.
Yeah.
It's a unique situation. And so one of my fathers was away in prison. He was locked up. And the other father, he stayed in another state. But when he came home, he didn't protect me. He didn't say anything to the man, which was sitting right there with my mother at the table. And I was pregnant at the time with the son that I have. My oldest son is from this. From this rape. He didn't say anything to that man. He came straight to me and said, "You going back with me, and I'm going to beat that baby out of you." And as a child, because I'm a child, I'm like, I'm already being beaten. I'm not going with you to get beaten some more. So at that point, he also turned around and said to me that he's dead to me. He has denied me. So I have my mother that sold me, my father that told me, that he denounced me, that I wasn't his child anymore. So, and I had this man that was doing everything he wanted to me, and that was a open door for him, because when I cried and I wanted to go, wanting not to get out of this, the first thing he would say to me, because that's what the victimizers do. They first of all put the fear in you for beating. And second, they take over your mind. So he say, "No one love you but me, because your mother sold you to me and your daddy denied you. So no one wants you. So all you have is me." And as a child, to go through that and knowing that every day I'm being beaten, raped, because I was a virgin when he got me. So to go through that, you like, okay, God. At that point, I started questioning him. What did I do? Why am I in this? Because my grandmothers, they were older women, and one was an Indian and one was an African American, but both of them would say the same thing to me. They was from two different cultures and from two different areas, but they both would say, well, when I was growing up, bad things happen to bad people. So I was like, God, I know better now, but I was like, God, what did I do? I'm a child. Why am I going through this? And so I questioned him. And I had to come to realize that I had to go through what I went through in order to be where I am. And I had to go through it because everybody has to go through their storm. That had to be my storm, because he knew that I was going to be in the ministry with my husband as a pastor and around people that has been raped and around the poor and the drug. And I had to be there to help them through it.
Yeah.
That was my purpose. I see it now, didn't see it then. And I fought God for it and blamed him. But I had to go back and say, God, I apologize, because you know what you were doing. Because the whole entire time that I was going through this, all of the other young ladies that was around me, they were being sold off to other men. They were being put on drugs. So all the other men were having their turns with the other young ladies. But I was the only one that he didn't allow no one else to touch me, just he.
Wow.
He raped and beat me. He didn't allow me to get on into drugs. But he kept me around it. He kept me under him. When he was out selling drugs, when we went out, he kept me with him. But God covered me. Even though I went through that situation, I was still covered, because I can look back now. I actually saw one of the young ladies probably a couple months ago. She's still on drugs. Another young lady died last year for overdose because she was still on drugs. A couple girls not too long got out of prison, and some still now is prostituting. So I just thank God that he covered me. He sent me through that. I wouldn't want to go back through that, but I wouldn't change it now, because it brought me to who I am today. And I had to forgive my mother and him to move on. And it took 13 years to do that. That wasn't an easy task. But after I did, God elevated me and he blessed my life.
In your book, one of the quotes that I wrote down was, "I didn't really know what love was, but I was searching for someone to love me, so I was an easy target for men." And I think, a lot of women, myself included, experience that. And I was wondering if you could speak to that at all.
Yes, because I was a virgin, and he took my virginity. I didn't have a chance to give myself to no man. And then he took it in raping me for 2 years and beating me for 2 years. So, and my mother and my father, I felt didn't love me. So I was looking for love. And so my grandmothers raised me that you never lay down with a man, give yourself to someone unless he marry you. I didn't understand that at that point. All I understood is, if you want to have me, you have to marry me. And so every time I meet somebody, instead of dating them, they say they want to, and I say, you have to marry me. They would ask me to marry me and marry me, and I would say, yes, I do. So I was in and out of marriages, looking for somebody to love me, because I couldn't love myself. I was beaten, I was battered, I was bruised, I was a mess, and I was just trying to find someone to love me. And God always loved me, but I didn't know to the extent that he loved me until he had me to write this book.
Wow. And you went through a lot more than just through your whole life. You went through a whole lot more than just having to forgive. And you forgave your mother.
Yes.
At the end. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, it took 13 years, but once I forgave my mother, she got sick. And when she got sick, I had to go to her house, sell my house, and go and stay with her. Me and my 3 children started, and I had to stay with her. And she was on her back. She couldn't do nothing. She was like a newborn baby, because she went into a coma. And when she came out the coma, she had brain damage. So I had to take care of her. And then my brother, he ended up getting shot, and he came home, and he was paralyzed from waist down. And I had 3 children. We was in a 3-bedroom. So I had to take care of my mother, which is bedbound, my brother, which is bedbound, my 3 children, and then his 3 children came along, and myself. Wow. And I only had a $686 income coming in a month. But God did not allow not one of my bills to get cut off. We had 2 vehicles. I had money to go to back and forth to school, because I was in school during that time, and take her and him, my brother and my mother, back and forth to the doctor's office. And it's just neighbors would bring food over. I would go to the mailbox. Their money's there because God provided for me.
Yeah.
So it was a lot. It's a lot in forgiving. It's a lot into forgiving, because you're bitter. I was bitter. I hated my mother. And hatred is a harsh word, and you shouldn't hate anyone, but I did. I hated her. And I had to turn around and love her.
Yeah.
And people say you can forgive, but you can't forget. That's not true. Because when I forgave her and I took care of her for the 6.5 years, I did not think about what she did to me not one time until she apologized, laying on her back.
Wow. And it's just like, I was just amazed at, I know when you I got your promotional stuff, and you talked about forgiving your mother, and I thought that was most of the story. And like when I talked about, Laura would come in and and tell me more things, and it was just more and more things that happened to you, and more and more people you had to forgive, and it was just like amazing. And it just started to sound like the book of Job. I mean, it just did you think of yourself? Did you just identify with Job at any point?
Well, I want to be honest with you. It was 2016 when God told me to start writing a book. Well, in March of 2017, he put the book of Job in my spirit.
Yeah.
I've never sat down and read the whole book of Job.
Yeah.
I've heard, people talk about it, pastors preaching about it, even read little, scriptures here and there. But when I sat down and read the book of Job, I saw myself as a Job.
Yeah.
I did. But so it was just ironic that you say that, because he put that book in my spirit in March of 2017.
Yeah, I mean, I was just like, and I was just this week, I was hearing a podcast, and somebody talking about it, like a new take on that, and I had just something I'd never thought about was just how you hear about it, and it just seems so unfair how Job is treated, and just like your life is the same way. It's just so unfair. You just, all the things that happened to you were unfair, and everything that happened to Job wasn't really fair. And then at the very end, like all of his counselors who just came and they just like dumped on him, and then he has to pray for them. He has to pray for him at the end for God to forgive him.
That's right.
And it's like, rather than God just forgiving him, God makes them go to Job and ask him to forgive him.
That's right.
And then he gets blessed because he prayed for him. So, and that's just a take I'd never heard before. But anyway, and then your story came along like the next day after I heard the podcast. So
sometimes go ahead.
No, ma'am, you go.
Sorry, I didn't mean to step on you. One of the striking things about your book was how you mentioned how other people sometimes interfered as well. You were dealing a lot with judgments from other people. And can you speak to that, about how you dealt with that, the judgment of other people in these various situations, or if they found out like about what your experiences were and how you dealt with that judgment?
Well, I didn't want to write the book because I felt that it was going to be a lot of judgmental. But God released me from that. My family, a lot of my family members, for us on my mother's side, a few of them was part of this. They knew what was going on, but they wanted to pretend like they didn't know what was going on. So they were always have something to say, like saying that I was fast or I was hot, because that was getting them out of the hot seat. Because I got very wild. I got very promiscuous. And so during that time, that's what they were saying. Oh, she's wild. She's gotten bad. I wasn't. I was a child that was raped and beat and sold by my family. Now, my mother literally sold me, but I had uncles also that he paid them as well. And I have family that's what they use to get the heat off of them, is to say that I was bad, I was wild. That was just to get the heat off of them. But I still loved my family. I still loved them because they are my family. I don't choose what family I was brought into. But I can choose how I love them. And I did. I still love my family. I still love them to this day.
Wow. When you wrote the book, did you have a lot of feelings come up about the past? I mean, how did you handle that?
When I wrote the book, chapter 2 was my worst chapter, because it took a year to write the book, but it took most of half of that to write chapter 2. Because when I started writing chapter 2, I thought that I was healed from all of it, but it was just suppressed. So when I start writing chapter 2, I have to write some and I have to stop, because I'll cry. And my husband would console me and say, baby, it's going to be all right. I was like, yes. But it's like I'm back in that situation. It put me back in that situation because I thought I was healed from it. So I had to push through it to get past it, because when you're writing, you have to go back and read it, and you have to make corrections. Then you got to go back and read it again and so you have to continue to write and rewrite. And the more I wrote and rewrote, the more I cried, but he was delivering me. Because now I can read the book and read chapter 2, and I get full, but I don't get overwhelmed.
Thank you. Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about?
Well, I just want people to know that did happen to me, and it was horrible. But until I forgave my mother and this gentleman, because he's a gentleman, as God say, he's mine. You don't put your mouth on his children. He take care of his children. So when I speak and people say he's not a gentleman, well, because I've forgiven him, he is. But he died, and my mother died. But God sent me into the room, because I was working at the hospital that he came in. He had heart problems.
And this is
came in, the guy that raped and beat me.
Right.
And he was in the hospital, and he came up on my handheld for me to draw his labs. And so my heart just dropped.
Because you're working this point as
a phlebotomist.
Right.
I was working as a phlebotomist at this point. And so I was trying to find someone to draw his labs. I called to the ER and told the young lady if she would let me come down and draw. I would draw all of her patients in the ER if she just come and draw this one, and she wouldn't. So I went to the unit that he was on, and I asked the nurse, and she said, no, he don't have a pick line, so you got to draw. So when I went into the room, I introduced myself just like I didn't know him. I asked for his armband so I can identify him, and he cursed me out. And so, but he let me draw his labs. And I left out of there, and I was like, oh, God, why did I have to go in there? And so, but I thought it was over. 2 hours later, because I never paid attention to the test that I was drawing because I was so scared. I was so nervous. And I didn't pay attention that it was a troponin, which is a heart test where they draw every 2 hours. So when it came back up, I was furious at that point with God. And God, why are you sending me in here to this man? What did I do now? What have I done? And I went in and drew him, and I had to go get the nurse because he was just really ugly at that point. And she had to stand in there until I finished drawing him. But that same night I had revival. So I went to revival, and the pastor actually prophesied over the pulpit while he was preaching. He said, God said, there's somebody in here, I don't know who it is, but he said he didn't send you in that room for you. He wasn't punishing you. He sent you in that room to save that soul. And I just cried and broke down because I knew that God was talking to me. He wasn't punishing me. He was wanting him to apologize so he could save his soul. Now, I don't know if he ever repented to God, but he never apologized to me. And a few weeks later, he passed in the same hospital.
There was a line in the book where you talked about accepting God but still not being healed.
Yes.
Can you speak to that at all? Because I found that very intriguing.
Well, I accepted him as he's my Father and he's my Lord and Savior, but I had not accepted him to the point where I released it to him, where he can heal me. Because I wasn't healed, I say, I love you, Lord, and I can move on, but I truly didn't move on because I didn't release it to him, because every time I look back, I got bitter in my spirit. And once I accepted him and truly released it, I can look back now and there's no bitterness because I've truly accepted him and released it all to him.
You also described it maybe going to therapy. I don't know. It was maybe a passing reference. Did you go to therapy? Can I ask?
I actually had
it's not too
breakdowns.
Personal. Okay.
And my first breakdown, they put me in on the psych ward because they said that, because I said I didn't want to live. Now, I didn't want to kill myself, but I didn't want to live. And so I was there for about 7 days, and they put me on all this medication. Then I started going to counseling with my pastor, and at that time, my pastor, and this is for me, this is not for anyone else. It doesn't work for everyone. It worked for me and me only. But my pastor would pastor with me. He said, Tisha, you don't need the medication. You just need God. And he told me that after that third session, I went home and flushed all the medicine down the toilet. And I've never taken another prescription another day in my life, and I was 25 at that point, and I'm 44 now. So that was for me, though. That's not for everyone else. Medication does help, but it wasn't for me.
Right. I especially enjoyed how your pastor taught you to have a relationship with God.
Yes.
That's what I mean. Like during your book, you would have the story, and then you would have these little like things, and I almost wanted to just take a highlighter and start highlighting them because I thought they were really, for everybody, just like some wisdom for everybody. Can you speak to that about having a personal relationship with God?
Well, everyone can tell you what God does for them, but they can't tell you what God do for you until you get a relationship with the Lord. And when you have a relationship with the Lord, you can go and talk to him about anything You can pray to him, and that's when you talk. I'm praying to him. I stay on my knees even now. Even sometimes when I'm riding and something come up, I just thank my God, or I pray, and I just be at peace with him, and I talk to him about everything. I don't tell people no more my problems. I tell my God my problems. And when I pray to him about it all. And when you start praying to him and start talking to him and stop talking to everybody else, people just giving you advice they don't know, God will talk to you because you know him. And people would tell me, my grandmothers, they would tell me that God loved me, but I didn't know that until I started praying and talking to him myself, and I saw him for myself. And how you see him is you look back on the worst thing that ever happened in your life, and you see that you came through it, and no man brought you through it, no human being. You know it was him. And at that point you start thanking God and say, God, thank you. I love you. Now I do want to be close with you. I want to tell you everything. I want to tell you my deepest secrets. Things that you can't tell no one else, go to God. He will make it right.
Excellent. I hope you don't mind I ask another question here.
Go ahead.
Pardon me, Greg, for horning in on your podcast.
Go ahead.
You had talked a lot about forgiveness of other people, and at certain points you described regrets that you had. How did you learn to forgive yourself?
I asked God to help me, to heal, because as a child, when you're raped and beaten and your parents turn their back on you, or family or loved ones, the one that's supposed to protect you, you start thinking, or you start blaming yourself. What did I do? What did I have on? Was it my fault? Why did I do something? Why my mother didn't love me? And you start blaming yourself, so you start feeling less than a person. So I had to start talking to my God. I can't explain it until you've been in it, where I was at the lowest low and no one was there to pick me up. No one was there to encourage me. But when I got on my knees and prayed and talked to my God, he encouraged me. He built me up. He strengthened me. And I can get up off my knees and smile and say, thank you, Lord. He sent this chill through my body like, I have you, daughter. And I started loving me. He started showing me how he loved me. And he said, love yourself. And I had to start loving me. And once I started loving me, I can love others. Because a lot of me being bitter is because I was still not loving me. I didn't forgive myself because I was thinking I was the cause of everything. And I had to realize that I'm the victim. They are the victimizers.
Yeah.
So I can't blame me. I didn't do anything wrong. I was just at a grandmother's house. And he came and I just asked for a coat. They went and got it. When they came back, they threw me in the car and he took me.
Wow.
It's not my fault. So I just had to learn to love me. But I had to look back on what God had brought me through and how he loved me. And if he can love me, I can love me.
Excellent. Thank you.
And I think your story, this is a story that a lot of people haven't been through, like near the tough things you've been through. But I think this is a story that a lot of people need to hear, and that they can be encouraged by. And that they need to hear it, that they know that they need to forgive people, because we all need to do that.
Yes.
Every one of us need to forgive somebody.
And that's the essence of the book, is that I don't care what you've been through, even families that you're falling out over small things.
Right.
Don't let your family member leave here and you have unforgiveness in your heart. Because we ask God to forgive us. How can we ask him to forgive us if we don't forgive those that have come against us?
Yep.
It's not worth leaving here with unforgiveness in your heart. You will miss your blessings with unforgiveness in your heart.
Yep.
If I wouldn't have forgave my mother and I would have beat my mother or had hatred in my heart when I was taking care of her, my mother is dead and gone, but my blessings wouldn't be where they are now.
Yeah.
God allowed me to marry a pastor. He allowed me to finish school, to get 3 degrees. He allowed me to be an administrator of a community. He allowed me to be an author of a book. And he allowed me to have 3 wonderful children. Well, 4 with the daughter that my husband had. We have 4 together and 3 grandchildren. And he has blessed me every day because I forgive every day. Because it's even today, even now, people come against me. I go to work. And because of who I am and I believe in my Lord and I don't accept mediocrity, people have a problem with that. So they try to do things to hurt me. And I know that. You know what? I pray for them, I forgive them, and I move on. And they look at me like, you prayed for me. I give you a good example. One of my employees, she called the state on me. I knew she...
Thanks again to my wife, Laura Axelrod, for guest hosting this week. And thanks to our guest, Tisha Nickson. And be sure to go out and get a copy of her book, Victim to Victory, My Journey from Sex Slavery to Freedom in Christ. We talked a lot this episode, but there's a whole lot in her book that we did not cover, and you will be blessed by reading it. And if you want to hear more about the podcast that I mentioned about Job, that was the Bible Project podcast. The title of the episode was Solomon the Cynic and the Job You Never Knew. And I'll leave a link when I share the podcast as well to that. But it's it's the Bible Project podcast and Solomon the Cynic and the Job You Never Knew. Again, thanks for joining us this week, and we'll see you next time on the Syncopator Familius podcast. Thanks for listening to the Syncopator Familius podcast. Copyright 2019 Pharaoh's Drawers Productions. You can download my free ebook, The Beatitudes and Other Spiritual Lessons from Everyday Life, at smashwords.com.